I'm good. I'm
Yeah,
good. How about yourself?
I'm today, right now, I'm good.
Right now, we're
Who knows?
live.
Who
We're
knows
live.
anymore? It's moment to moment, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
Really, no doubt. Let's see. We got one showing so far. Two. They're coming. It's only been on for 39 seconds, so
Okay.
just give it a second. Let me tag you on it so it'll show up on your page.
Okay.
Hang on 1 second. Let's see. God, craziness. Okay, here we are. So we got a few people coming in now. Here we go. Let's see. Edit. Okay. Okay. All right. So we got 20. If these shows resonate, please share this to a page or a group because it looks like we're getting suppressed. Sometimes that happens when we do two shows in a row. We would
Mm,
appreciate it. We got well, in terms of Soul Speaks 5D, we got a new friend in the house. I've known you a while. Morgan knows you well. Um, Aneeta, Rasool, and yeah, so we're going to get to know you in typical Soulogy fashion,
okay.
spontaneously, intuitively, imaginatively, courageously, creatively, and find out a little bit about you. Uh, so I know a little bit about you, but I'm just going to act like I don't know anything about you. How did
Okay.
how did this how did this start for you? Did you have a wake up experience?
You know, yes, and I've been reflecting a lot on that, and I believe, and although I didn't know what was happening at the time, it was started around 2010 for me.
Mm,
Um, but as I kind of reflect back, even just on life, even going back to childhood, um, I've always been a little bit different, but I never realized that. I just thought that everybody was like that. So, but yeah, I would say my first reawakening was probably around 2010, and
wow.
um, and that compared to what this last year I've reawakened was like a walk in the park, so to speak, a piece of cake. I mean, even though back then I thought, my gosh, what's going on, and not really being able to share anything with anyone because you feel like you're kind of losing your mind, you know.
You're talking about 2010, right?
Yes, most definitely. Not
Did
now.
you
I mean,
now? I know you're in a relationship. Were you in the same relationship 10 years ago?
no, no,
Okay.
I'm married. I'm married now, and no, actually, yes, I was. Sorry, 10 years ago.
Okay.
Yes, yes,
Well,
yes. My
yeah,
husband and I
well,
have been together. Go
yeah.
on. Sorry.
Well, the reason I was asking because yeah, because those things that there's no linear aspect
Yeah.
to it, and some of the things
Right.
that people went through, even though no one's really been left out these last year or two,
Yeah.
but some of the things people go through that people went through, others are going through now. I've always find it kind of
Yes.
interesting when somebody's in a relationship when they had the wake up experience and are still in the same relationship because I've talked to a lot of different people, mostly the women,
Yeah.
and I've gotten different answers. That their partner isn't like in the same Facebook groups and doesn't really follow the same thing, but they're kind of awake at an intuitive level, or
Yeah.
they hold space, they ground. I've heard a lot of women say that their partner grounds them, even though they don't
Yeah.
really discuss these things and all that. But did you have like some people have like successive traumas that occurred that kind of served as a catalyst for them to wake up. Did you have anything like that happen, or because it sounds like you felt a little bit strange when it occurred?
Yes, I did. And my husband, he's now going through, or experiencing what I experienced then.
Oh,
So,
wow.
you know, he's very sensitive, although he doesn't realize it.
Right.
And I do agree. You know, he does ground me, and a lot of times now I'll express and share things with him, and he'll say, okay. He listens, he, you know, and sometimes it goes right over his head, and he'll say, okay, from anyone else that would sound a bit nutty, but coming from you, I can try. He tries to understand the best that he can. But I've noticed that what I was experiencing back in 2010 into 2012, he's now kind of coming out, you know, and experiencing those things now. So they kind of, it all makes sense to him now, slowly, which, you know, in retrospect, now I'm being catapulted to a completely different energy field. And
Is so when this happened to you in 2010, did you tell him anything at that time, or did you wait?
no, I didn't even know myself. I was
Okay.
just, you know, I was just experiencing just feelings and all kinds of things. And I just, you know, and I found myself being led more to, you know, looking up, trying to reach out to see other like-minded people, which was kind of difficult then. I did come across some Bashar work back then, and I was very resonated to that. So, you know, but it was almost like I didn't even know. I thought I was going through just some deep depression. I couldn't even
Wow.
pinpoint or put a finger on it myself. And
Wow.
I'm sure he thought that, you know, at one point I needed to be in the loony bin, but he's you know, he's thank heavens for him, I say. Because of him, I'm able to do what I do, you know.
Wow.
You know,
So
to some
and
people
you're
they might go on.
no, I was going to say when you said that, are you a practitioner? I know you do some art. I know that, right?
Well, you know, and that's something, Todd. If somebody had asked me about 7, 8 months ago, what's light language, I would have been like, I have no clue what you're talking about. Like, I would have been like a deer in headlights. I have no idea what you're talking about. But the more that I've realized that I've kind of, you know, done that inner work, zero pointing and all of that, it's opened me up to this completely different, just, I can't even put words to it. I mean, I feel, you know, I feel more comfortable speaking light language now, than speaking this language, you know. And I've noticed that, you know, when I'm in that meditative state, it just naturally, the artwork seems to flow, and I'd get all these symbols, and I didn't have any idea what they were. And thank heavens for Soulogy, because, you know, watching and listening to other people in this community made me and made me realize that, my gosh, that's what I'm doing. It's light
Right.
language that I'm speaking. These symbols all mean something. And I just was just told by my guides that it's not just for you. And, you know, I was always very reluctant to kind of step out and even post something. And I'll never forget it. I was awoken about 3 a.m. and all I was told was just post it to Soulogy. And I
Really?
was half awake, half asleep, I don't even know. And I just posted one of my art pieces, kind of. I don't even think I was even thinking. I wasn't even fully awake. I just posted it, put my phone down, and went to bed. And the next morning, there were like all these comments, and which kind of gave me that confirmation of like, okay, you're not going bananas. It's okay. Other people do resonate with this. There is a community out there that you're a part of.
It's called the
You're not
weirdos.
alone.
All the weirdos.
Yes. Well, yes, right. Wonderfully unique. So you know, so thank heavens, because you know,
I've noticed
the
that. I've noticed that. Of course, you know, over the years, people expressing themselves over the years. It's been, what has it been now? 9 years since the Soldier Group was formed. And but one of the things I noticed in the last probably year has been, I can only think of one other person right now, but like the same story that you just told, Sue Baxter Fitz. One day she just put up these, like you're talking about, she just put up all these symbols in this light language and said, I just got this and I just thought I'd share it. So
yeah.
I go into the an analytics of the group probably like once every 6 weeks just to check things out, see what's happening. And one of the categories is the most engaged post. And when I went, you know, a few weeks later after she did it, I it was the number one post for the 30-day period. It was like 800, 900, or 1,000 people. And it was just, that's all it was. There was no explanation. It was just the light language on a written on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's interesting how it's becoming more and more accepted, and you know, you can see the effects on people, even though it's not a typical or conventional method of communication. At least it wasn't. It is in the weirdo
Yeah.
group, Soulogy group. But
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like, you know, we don't even have to say words. We just look at it, it just resonates. And, you know, and like you say, it's more and more, I truly feel are resonating towards this, because it's speaking to the soul. It bypasses,
yeah,
you know, the ego monkey mind, and it just resonates. You can't even put words to it. You just know that it's doing something on a cellular level, on a
do
DNA
you
level. It's
do you get, like, do you get a you know, do you comprehend, like, in human terms, when this stuff comes in? Do you know what it means?
sometimes I do and sometimes I don't.
Mm.
You know, it during the daytime, you know, I'm constantly having, like, I can feel my guides come in. I feel the galactics come in,
Really?
you know. Yeah, and one thing that I have asked is, please allow me to do all of this work that I need to do, as far as clearing at nighttime during dream state, because it's
Right.
just, I've noticed it was just too hard
Yeah.
emotionally and on the physical body in this state, which has helped a lot. But, you know, I mean, it's just incredible. I mean, you know, if I was to even share with, you know, my family that, oh yeah, so I was on a spaceship last night, you know, and this is what they showed me, and, you know, but it wasn't just for me. It's something I know is meant for the collective as a whole. And, you know, when I share it, I post it, they'll probably literally put me in the loony bin and think she's mental, you know. But that's why I always come back here, and I'm like, you know, thank goodness, because the connections I've made through this community is
Wow.
just, it's, I would say it keeps me sane, you know.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
yeah.
Where are you from originally? Are you from
I'm
the
from
state? You're from
I'm
England.
from England. Yeah, I'm from England, but I live in California now.
Yeah, I knew you lived in
I'm
California. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I'm in
So,
California.
and let me ask you this: what happened the first time the light language came in? Did you
I
start
was
talk? Did you start speaking it, or were you writing it?
like, even now, as I'm speaking to you, I'm like holding back because it's like just wants to come out.
You don't have to hold back.
um
You don't have to hold back.
you know, but I started speaking it, but I realized I was holding back. And then once I just said, okay, I'm just going to allow it, and I started speaking it, I even realized that even my dogs, it like opened up this telepathic thing with me, and I can communicate with animals. And, you know, like, there's no words needed. I always just know, you know. And it's just like opened up this whole arena for me that I never even dreamt of or even knew about, just not even long ago. And
Wow.
you know, I really feel that what took us eons before to kind of clear, and, you know, now it's just coming in, and it feels like
Yeah.
a death and a rebirth, constant.
Yeah.
And you know, there is no linear time. I have no concept of time or day or anything. And that's why I'm always saying I'm so thankful for my husband, because, you know, he's the one that goes out there and is in the 3D world and does that work, and I'm able to I work from
That's-
home. And
Are you a practitioner? Do you
yes,
work? Okay.
yes, I do. You know, it's interesting because it started off with Reiki,
Okay.
and I was introduced to Reiki, and I don't even know how or when that all happened. But reflecting back now, you know, everything is like a big jigsaw puzzle, isn't it? And it all has to come together a little bit at a time. And over the last year, I've realized that um, just with these light language activations, it's opened me up to so much more, where I can actually regress people now. And I had no idea that I was doing that. You know, I just simply allow myself to be the vessel to do that. And I didn't even realize what I was doing. But it's like so many other things have come online over the last, you know, 12 to 14 months that
Yeah.
it just
Yeah.
blows my mind. And I'm just I'm so happy where I am, but I always say I'm happy where I am, but I'm excited for what's to come, because there's just that almost that little giddy feeling that you have, like, like we know something's coming,
Yeah.
but it just keeps coming, it keeps coming. So,
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
What
Yeah.
has your husband heard you speak light language?
No, he hasn't.
Huh?
Oh, actually, you know what though? I've asked him, and he said at nighttime you're speaking it all the time in your dream state. So he's heard me. He's heard me, but I haven't actually sat with him. And I'm sure he hears me throughout the day as I'm walking around the house and I'm just, speaking light language to the dogs, or, just putting that energy out there. So he hears it. But I did ask him, I said, honey, would you ever like me to channel for you? And he said, I don't think I'm ready for that yet.
Well,
He did.
you can tell him from me that it's sexy as hell. Morgan Morgan speaks light language. I'll do anything, whatever she wants. It doesn't
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure that he'll be very happy to hear that.
true. It's
Yeah,
incredible. You know,
yeah, it
then
is.
before he knows speaking it, and he'll not be the odd one out anymore, because you and the dogs
No.
are already waiting for
Yeah,
him.
yeah, and I mean, even working with my clients, I've realized of late that um, it's not just. I don't even like to label it as, any particular kind of
Yeah.
session, because it's just what the client needs when they're here in my space. And
So are you working with clients in person or online or both?
I work in person and remotely too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and you said that you didn't know, so you just it just happened. And a lot of practitioners through the end of 20, at the very end of 2019, I noticed it, and then 2020, a lot of them, even those that had been doing stuff for a while, they
Mhm.
all said kind of the same thing, that all of a sudden it just became this, everyone's different. You just sit down with them,
Yeah.
and then whatever happens, happens. How did that happen? Like when you regress somebody for the first time, you're talking about a past life regression?
Yes, or even yeah, I guess, if I had to label it, that's what it would be. It was
Mm,
almost like I just I just sit myself to the side, and I just allow myself to be that open vessel,
mm.
and the words that flow through or whatever, I know it's not me, so I just allow it. And I remember the first time I just kind of, talked some, guided them down, and before we know it, my client's talking to me and telling me that she's seeing this and that. And so I was able to kind of direct her, or assist her in doing. That was the first time, and so much had cleared, just, and it went back to her childhood. And after the session, we were both just sitting there, just staring at each other, mind blown as to what just happened. Like, wow, you know.
Uh,
And
Stephanie
yeah, it
Lynn
was it
wants
was incredible.
Stephanie Lynn, our beloved sister, wants to know where in California you are. What part of California?
I'm in Manteca, California, the Central Valley.
Oh, Central Valley. Okay. Okay. Just in
Yeah.
case somebody
So
wants
yeah.
to get in on a one-to-one.
Oh, well, you know what? I would just love to connect with anybody in this area. Just I mean, it's lovely to have, but that connection, to know that there's community close, that
Yeah.
you can have these kinds of
Other
discussions with.
weirdos. Other weirdos.
Other weirder. Yeah, yeah, I know. And it's funny, because I always used to kind of feel that, oh, well, maybe I'm the black sheep. And I came to this realization, or received the thought, that you're not the black sheep, you're the golden child. So stop
Yeah.
labeling yourself as that, or labeling anything. But it just changed the perspective. And
Right. Right on.
yeah, yeah.
So,
So
in like, when I'm just curious as to how that evolved. Like, so you were doing Reiki, which is
hmm
locally, you'd be like hands on, right? That's what Reiki is.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not very, I'm not a
yeah,
conventional light worker.
yeah.
But and I know Morgan's mentioned many times that to me that many people, Reiki opened the door for many people, and then
Yes, yeah.
it just kind of evolved. So you're seeing clients, and then all of a sudden a client starts telling you about certain things, and you're you're just
Yeah.
expanding, they're expanding, and it just has continued from there.
Yes, it's just continued from there. And now, you know, I find, I mean, with a lot of clients, light language is really involved with a lot of clients, and
Wow.
almost breathing that light language into their bodies.
Now, do they
And
speak it too, or they're listening to you?
no, they are listening to me.
Okay.
And
What does that feel
it's
like
incredible.
to you? Does it feel like that it's something that's coming from their higher self, or is it coming from your higher self, or you don't know?
You know, it's funny because I'll be told almost like I'll hear a word like I had no idea what Yael was or what the Arcturians were or any of this. I had no the Pallade. I had no idea what any of this is, but I can feel the subtle energies coming
Mhm.
in. I just feel it. I can. It's just through feeling, and you know, I can feel when the elementals come in.
Really?
And on several occasions, and I've just noticed this over the last few months, is when I'm meditating and my dog is sitting, he's always sitting right by me, but, and I know this isn't going to sound crazy to you, but I can sense his energy. I can feel him changing into a dragon energy. He's like a little baby dragon.
Wow.
And the first time that happened, I thought, okay, Aneeta, you have completely lost it. But it happens every single time. And
Really?
it's almost like I'm one with him. I don't know where my energy, where like
Yeah.
he's a part of me and I can
Yeah.
feel him. And and when we're in that state, you know, he'll look at me and it's just so deep, like he's looking into my soul and I'm looking into his soul. The connection is just incredible. And I have that with my clients now too. It's on such a level now which it's never been before, and it just keeps expanding. And it's so exciting. It's really exciting
I've heard a
because
lot
in
of.
essence,
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, in essence, you know, all I'm doing is really holding space for them and
Yeah. Yeah.
allowing them to remember their true essence. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not doing anything, you know. We just have to hold some compassion and realize that some people are awakening now, and we were all there at one point. And you know, it's nice to be able to hold space in that respect, um, because I know how it feels. It was a very lonely path for me,
So
and
which
it continues.
so what do you, what clairs do you normally experience? Do you hear things, see images? You know, some people talk about smelling things or just feeling things.
Yeah, definitely the feeling would be the number one. I would say that's like my top. I can just, you know, I can sense and feel the energies. And I have that sometimes I can smell, sometimes I'll see. I think I desperately want to see. So obviously I'm
Mm,
blocking myself from doing that because I'm trying too hard, you know.
mm.
Um, but yeah, I would say the feeling is most definitely, and then also hearing as well, which I thought was just myself, but I realized I can sense the subtle difference in energies now, where the voice sounds like myself. It sounds like my voice in my head, but I know
Mhm.
it's not my voice in my head.
Wow.
Does that make
Do you-
sense?
yeah, it makes sense. I mean, you
Yeah.
know, somebody was on here 3 or 4 weeks ago, and they said because I said something about you know how does it work? It's a feeling, and then I start to talk about it, and it sounds like I'm making it up. You know,
Yes.
and I thought
Yes.
that's how I feel. I feel like
Yes.
it's almost like you're making it up, but you're not making it up because then there's be synchronicities and other signs and omens or whatever that tell
Yeah.
you, you know, that are meetings, you know, or like with Morgan, it's easy because there's a lot of validation through something she might say or do that we experience. But
Yeah.
now, do you get like collective information? Does collective information ever come in your sessions? You know, like some people do and have.
Yes, I've noticed that happens with me when I'm in a meditative state,
Mm,
and I know that it's what's coming through is not just meant for me, and I don't know who it's meant for, but you know, and so I'll like pop on and I'll post something that I feel is quite profound
yeah.
and that needs to be put out there. You know, even if one person reads it and they resonate with it, then that's all that matters.
Yeah, I noticed that about you when I'm just now remembering. It's been a rough few days, and I had a little fall this morning. And,
Oh
one of those things.
no.
I was sitting in a chair and it broke, and I was okay at the time, but I can feel it like affecting now. But what
Oh.
was I going to say? Oh, in regard to I remember, and I can't remember exactly when, but I think it was. I want to say it was last year, maybe early last year. I started to see you come around into the Soulogy group, and I don't get in there a whole lot, but I get notifications, and of course I share a lot, but I do notice people's energies, and I noticed your energy became very involved, and there was a lot of engagement, with what you would put out. It looks like you've connected with a lot of people through
Yes,
Soulogy.
I have, and it's been such a blessing.
Yeah,
It really has. And I mean, I don't even know how I came across Soulogy.
yeah,
And and when I think back, I'm like, but you don't need to know, Aneeta. It was
yeah,
meant, you were meant to, and you were meant to make all these connections. I tell myself, and I tell my clients too, it's like it's already done. We simply have to step into it, but we block ourselves from
yeah,
stepping into it,
yeah,
because our monkey mind just plays
yeah,
all these tricks on us. But once we realize, and this is, I mean, it's a continuing process, isn't it? We're constantly clearing, and stuff that you think, well, I cleared that years ago, and now it's like so up and in your face, like, oh, that's you think you cleared it, but
hmm,
you know you bloody well didn't, and here it is. So let's do it. And I've, like I said, it feels like things are clearing much, much faster. The more that we not suppress them, or turn our back on them, and actually face them, and feel the feelings, be uncomfortable in that feeling, and breathe into it, and almost honor it,
yeah,
because it's there for a reason.
yeah.
But
That's a big one.
yeah, but I'm not gonna lie, some days you just like, God, I'm clearing at night, I'm clearing at day, I'm clearing, clearing, clearing. Like, when can I just have a moment to breathe? Um,
I think that's one of the deprogramming mechanisms is these things like that. You said earlier about, I asked to, because I was purging a lot.
mhm,
It's over a year ago, probably a year and a half ago, and it was hard on my body,
yeah,
and it was almost daily. So I was, Morgan said it to me actually. She said, you can purge, you can ask to purge in dream state, and sure
yeah,
enough,
yes, and
when I purged 90% of the time,
yeah,
but and I've had that feeling. I think we all have, where we were like, can we just like take a break, take a breather? But
yeah,
I don't think we're that's what's happening here. I don't think that.
yeah,
I think it's
yeah.
actually happening faster and faster. And rather than break, we're actually getting used to this new pace. Does that resonate with
Absolutely,
you?
absolutely, 100% resonates. Like, whereas before, I'd have an experience or a synchronicity, and I'd be all excited to write it in my journal. Well, it's constant now. That I
Yeah,
don't have time to write it in my journal, because that's more norm than
yeah,
not.
yeah.
It's almost when if you do have a day of a bit of a lull, it's like, okay, where are you? Where are you?
Mhm. Those
So it's
days
like,
happen too. Yeah, isn't
yeah,
that
yeah.
isn't that funny though? We say, "Can I have a break?" And then as soon as they're gone, which is us, I guess, or
Which is
whatever,
us. Yeah.
it we're like, "Okay, where do they go?"
Yeah. Don't.
And
Yeah.
and so here we are asking for one thing, and we get it, and then we're like, "Okay, where'd y'all go?"
I know. I know. And,
Yeah.
I tell you, there's some mornings I wake up. In fact, a lot of mornings I've been waking up and I feel like I've been hit by a truck,
I
you
have a
know?
lot of those. I have a lot of
Yeah.
those. I had one this
Yeah.
morning too. I mean, yeah, Morgan and I were talking about that earlier, and a friend of ours, she's been going through it. But yeah, I can always tell when I've been busy in dream state, and there seems to be kind of a correlation between the energies of the day before now. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's what happened to me last night. I had I did
Mm-hmm.
like this just intense download involved my family. It was just like this. I was feeling people's sadness, and I was feeling their imbalances. And these are family members I haven't
Yeah.
seen in a while. and I got really emotional, and I just told Morgan, I'm going to bed. I don't go to bed early, and I went to bed at 10:30.
Yeah.
But I noticed that, and more recently, that the energy, I could almost, I think if I thought about it consciously, I could almost predict when I'm going to have a full night and wake up feeling like, I've been in a fight or ran a marathon or something. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No, I resonate with that too.
Mm.
I agree. Luckily with everything that's happened over the last year or over the year, not a lot had changed for me as far as I was working, in my own home on my own terms, before, and so that's continued. But it's funny because just towards the end of 2019, I just had a feeling something was shifting, something was, and I didn't know what,
Mm.
but I just knew something was coming. And I stopped doing some of the things that I really, really enjoyed doing because I wasn't resonating with it anymore. And
Yeah.
it was really confusing for me because, you know, uh, even with friends, it's like, you think, okay, these friends, I've known them for, 20, 30 years, but I'm going to know them until my last breath. And it's like, it's all just kind of dwindled away, just very gently, very organically.
Yeah.
It's just because, and reflecting back even over just the last year, and I can see now why.
Mm.
And even that clearing was like, well, what's the matter with me? Like, am I not lovable? Am I not, why aren't they reaching out to me?
Yeah.
But
It's, it, that's another good point too you just made. I want to come back to that because of the fact that we're not we know what projection is now. We know that
Mhm.
it's never them, it's always me.
Yes.
That's kind of created this transitionary dynamic of that type of what do you want to call it? Self-doubt,
Yeah.
self-talk, or so it's like we're trying to work through knowing that when we project and being on guard in our projections and our externalization, and but at the same time that voice still comes in and
Yes.
says,
Yes.
why aren't they talking to you, or
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
this or why that. So but
Yeah.
I think we're working through that as well. Do you get like do you have like specific types of energies that connect to you, let's say your team? You mentioned Galactic and Elemental, but do you have
Yeah.
like go-tos that kind of have been there that you identify with?
Um, it's just a vast,
Hmm.
it's like I can't say there's one or not. I have noticed over the last several months, the Palladians have really, like, I feel like they're around all the time, all the time. I'm hearing or there's something going on with more and more of the galactics I've noticed. And again, like I said, just even, 6, 7 months ago, I had no clue about any of this. I mean,
Really?
I meditated and, but the the idea of, going into dream state, and in dream state, you're on a spaceship and they're telling you something and they're showing you
Now,
something
are
like,
you having recall of that, like being on a
yes.
ship? Oh, you are.
Mm-hmm.
Can
Yeah.
you tell us
And
a little
that's
bit?
well, you know, well, I can tell you about my last experience, which was just a few days ago,
Okay.
and it was like as real as this. Of course, it's such a
Mhm.
lucid dream,
Right.
and I mean, I can't see them per se, but I can feel their energy,
Right.
and it was like I found myself in a space, but it was clear. I could see through it. It wasn't solid, but I could feel that it was solid. And with each step I took, it almost like it lit up in front of me. And I
Wow.
was told, and what I was, I guess I would say the download I kind of received from that was be in the moment. And with each step you take, or with each action that you take, it affects everything around you and everyone around you and every being around you, and you can create as you go, type of thing. I don't know if that even
No,
makes
no,
sense, but it was,
that actually reminds me of, I think it would have been the latter part of December. I know it was the latter part of December, the last week or two of December, first week of January. So I remember talking to Sandra Walter
mm-hmm,
on the show, and it was January 13th. And it was because I was telling her I had an experience. It was similar, not exactly, but it was similar energetically, very much like what you're talking about. And I was being told the same thing. I was being told the more you, and you said walk, but it was sounding to me a little different, but like the more you come towards this that you're looking at, like you're talking about, you can't see it perfectly, there's some translucency to it, but it's
Yes.
there. And
Right.
I was being told you're going to see us more clearly in even in a physicality kind of scenario.
Yeah.
And she was, she started cracking up because she was like, yeah, you know what? I've been getting the same message. And we both had been seeing or feeling blue light beings, tall
Yeah.
blue light beings. And I don't know if that's Pleiadian or I've
Wow.
never really, asked, to be honest with you, but now you're saying you've been feeling a lot of Pleiadians, and a lot of people talk about that.
That's
Like,
very interesting that you said that about the blue beings, because I've noticed this
hmm,
recently when I'm when I'm working with my clients, and a lot of times I'll have my eyes closed, but I can almost feel that energy that you just described
yeah,
step into me, and I almost feel like like I'm elongating, like my body feels longer, my
wow,
fingers feel longer. Just it's almost like, yeah, it's like I can feel that energy step into
yeah,
me as it's almost like they're taking over to do what they need to do, and then my hands will move in all, various ways. And so that's really interesting that I couldn't label it as to what it is, but as you're saying,
mhm.
as you just described that, it really hit home with me. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's to me, like I feel like that the galactic aspects are closest to us. A lot of people say that they're our future selves. I
yeah,
really think if it was from a linear aspect, to me, it's almost like they were our past selves, like our closest ones, like for instance, Sirius and then Pleiades, and there's some narratives
yeah.
that are passed down to the indigenous and aborigines and so on and so on. Uh, that the Pleiadians came and seeded here, and of
Mm-hmm.
course, Anunnaki and that type of thing, but that these are our closest memories. And to me, there seems like there's more and more of a conscious, what would you call it? Like a conscious merging,
Mm-hmm.
uh, like, where you're actually becoming conscious like we are when we're human in these galactic aspects of ourselves. And it's very interesting because one of the things that I
Yeah.
had happen, because I remember it started with one night Morgan went to bed without me, and she said her eyes were open, which is not normal for her, and she was actually on the ship. So the next night I did it.
Mm-hmm.
Long story short, I remember, and I've seen this twice, where her and I were in a room, and there was a lot of blue light, and it was on a ship, and we were in stasis,
Mm-hmm.
chironics, you call it, where they
Mm-hmm.
put you to sleep. But at the same time, I was in my body walking around the ship, right? And I,
Yeah.
and that's what interests me when people talk about going up on the ship, because I wonder, okay, are we on that ship?
Yeah.
Do you have an aspect on the ship, and then also have this aspect that's seemingly centered here, that's bilocated to or teleported to the ship, through dream state. I don't know,
Yeah,
but
that really that makes sense, because it makes sense to me, because then it's those aspects that are merging, and like you said, merging together, and we're more conscious of it now, whereas before we may not have been.
yeah,
And we're more conscious of that now. So yeah, that
yeah.
makes sense. That does make
Yeah, I
sense.
feel like that because I remember too that like it was in 2017 the first time Morgan came, and there was a occurrence, and she got it, and then she said it to me, and then I got it, which was we had made a promise to find each other on
Mm,
the Earth mission, and then fast
mm,
forward, this was just in the last few weeks that we had some stuff happen. I don't remember what was going on, and I said to her, like, wow, I remember setting this marker down. It's not like a deja vu. It was like an actual marker to trigger in me, my human aspect, the remembrance of what I just mentioned earlier. So it was
yeah.
this galactic incarnation where we agreed to come to this mission on Earth. And then she said something like, well, we agreed to this. And so to me, there's some type of merging or bridging, or I don't know what you would call it exactly, embodiment of this very close, near past, galactic incarnation, where it's that those memories are starting to come in. And I've heard other people talking about it on the show, and I've read some things where people are, and downloaded some stuff in December and maybe early January in regard to us getting our memories back, and that many people would be, and how much of a game changer that would be. I have no idea how it would change it, but certainly for the better.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah, and
you mentioned
I was going to say something. I was going to
Oh,
say
go ahead.
something, and I've just completely no. It's like it just cleared out like that. Like those oh God, I can't. The little Etch-a-Sketch things that you draw on and then you clear it. I feel like that's just what happened with me. Like I saw it in my third eye. It just went zoop, like that. Like it just cleared it out. But I think what I was going to say was that, yes, I resonate with that as far as all the different aspects of ourselves merging back together. And this is what I was going to say. And I feel like that has everything to do with the fact that so many of our skills, quote unquote skills or gifts, what one might say is gifts, are coming more and more online, because those aspects of ourselves are merging to assist in that. Does that make sense?
People have talked about this. I mean, obviously, I've only been active, I'm probably like most people, but like I got a laptop, I think it was in 2013, late 2013. So I started to get exposed to this. So a lot of people have talked about what you just said. I've talked about it. We've had conversations about it, but the big difference between talking about it actually happening, and that's what it feels like what you're saying.
Yes.
Actually happening, and I've noticed, foremost, I've noticed in my body. Now I'm 59 years old, and I've got a couple of loose screws and this and that. But I fell out of. I was sat in a chair today at my uncle's house, and it broke, and I busted my ass. And I had chronic back pain for 12 years. I mean, I was very debilitated. I traveled a lot. I was in constant pain, constantly taking medication and trying to dim the pain, through whatever methods I could. But there's no way I've done what happened today as an example, or experienced what happened today, and not be laying flat on my back. But now I'm fine. I mean, I can feel it a little bit, but I'm fine. But I noticed that. And then, of course, the higher sensitivities, which, again, those are a little hard to prove, because it's really you and the partner. I mean, it's you have those questions like you talked about earlier, those self-doubt and all that stuff. But I really feel like, what you're saying is actually happening. And I feel personally that this year we're going to see that. I feel like this year we're going to actually be walking, talking, human aspect and proof of these things.
Yeah,
in a louder, in a much way.
Yeah.
So that should
I absolutely agree. Yeah, and we won't even have to try to describe it or put a label on it. It just will be.
You'll get the Etch-a-Sketch thing. The Etch-a-Sketch thing will happen, right?
Yes,
because that's part of the programming. Part of the programming is, do we need to understand this? And we did. I feel like we did need to understand it, but now it's moving so fast. Like you're talking about the show, it's moving so fast.
Yeah.
Etch-a-Sketch, clear. Code's been activated, and you move forward. Yeah.
That's what it is. I've noticed that the more you kind of, when you allow and surrender to you don't have to make sense of it. You just have that faith. You just know in your soul, in your heart, that this is what's meant to be. You don't know why a lot of the times, and you just allow it and walk into it and just let go. Then everything just happens so quickly. It's like, the clearings happen quickly. It's like, your DNA is activated. It's just, everything just flows so beautifully. It just flows constantly. And it's like a daily, constant death and rebirth, and
I was
have you
gonna,
noticed, Todd, have you noticed that your sense of memory is different than it ever was before? Because mine, yeah, mine
yeah,
completely is like I could go from one place from one room to another room,
yeah,
or did I just do that, or was that in my dream state? Did I actually, I say that to my husband all the time. Nee, did I just say that out loud? And he'll say, yes, you did. He's so used to it now, because sometimes I think, oh, maybe it was just in my head. Did I actually say it? I can't remember saying it.
yeah.
And just, it's like, but my memory from childhood seems to be coming up more and more, but I feel like that has a lot to do with the childhood traumas that I've experienced, and to clear them. And but now my daily memory is just like, there's
Like
it's
short-term memory's gone.
yes,
Like, and
yes,
like I can relate to you. I'll be in the studio at the house and walk upstairs to the house because the studio's in the garage
yeah,
to go get something and I get what I was up there for, right? And
exactly,
so that
yeah,
happens, and then I was going to ask you too. You were talking about the childhood memories because Morgan and I were talking the other night, and it was like there's certain things I can remember like every detail, and there'll be
yeah,
things and she can't, and then vice versa, right?
yeah,
And and then again, you were talking about how although you're expanding and the processing's faster, and the death, rebirth, but
hmm,
you also said um, times that I just, can I have a break, right? Anyway,
yeah,
my point is,
yeah,
my question is, because I know that and you mentioned zero pointing earlier. One of the things that I really admire about yourself, or even I remember talking to Sandra Walter about it and a few other people, these people that are definitely lit, right? But still are going to the well, still dealing with their human. Like I remember asking
yeah,
Sandra on that particular show, do you still get triggered? She said, oh my God, yes,
hmm,
So what I'm trying to get to is how do you feel in terms of doing the zero pointing, like in terms of out, because you're already expanding and expanding and elevating, but the 0 point stuff is like really in the trenches kind of stuff. Do you feel like it has, or what type of effect does it have on your expansion, your awareness?
I feel it's for me personally. I mean, obviously, I can only speak for myself, but it's knocked me on my ass on several occasions. But it's allowed me to come to that 0 point on whatever I'm, dealing with in that now moment, so quickly, so quickly. It's not something that I have to kind of, mull over for
Yeah.
even hours and hours. I mean, if something comes up, even if I'm, driving or just going about my daily whatever I'm doing, um, if something comes up, I can simply just, even I've noticed I can just simply say it in my mind and feel I'm at 0 point regarding this situation, or this, whatever comes up. And, and I simply breathe into it, and
Right.
it just clears very, very quickly. I don't even have to, I've realized now that I don't even have to mull over it for a very long time, or sit with it for a very long time. Now, there are some things that, are very, very rooted and, wrapped around and rooted again, that are very stubborn energies that might
Hmm.
take a bit longer. But for the most part, I feel that I think I've just come to the realization that everything is just an experience. And, um, you know, once we're done in this physical vessel and we move back into our nebulous mist, we
Mm.
won't be able to have this physicality of, seeing and touching and smelling and tasting. And
Yeah.
so it's almost like I found myself now that even just simply walking and really feeling my feet lifting and, like being so in the moment, it's
Right.
it's like a childlike wonder, like you just, everything's like for the first time, or for the very last time. And
Yeah.
when if you feel that way, that if this is my last conversation I ever have with Todd,
Mhm.
How do I want this conversation to go? Like how would I want this? So that's the energy you take into,
Yeah.
everything that you experience. And I think it slows you down. It makes you more in the moment and so present,
Right. Right.
you
Yeah,
know?
and as far as like the like you said, the skills and abilities and the higher sensitivities, do you think there's a direct relation between between the more stuff that you zero point? You talk about the
Yes.
presence,
Mm-hmm.
but do you see any kind of correlation between that?
Absolutely. Absolutely, I do. And, I feel that doing the zero pointing is clearing on a level that you can't even describe, and that allows the space, it allows the open space for those things to come online,
Right.
for you to be able to receive the codes and the activations, because you're clearing the mucky water, so to speak, aren't you? So
Yeah.
you have to make space. I was talking to one of my clients just yesterday, and I said, you have to make space and clear the old to
Yeah.
allow the wonderment and the beauty of the new. But if, as long as we hold on, gritting our teeth and with dear life to what we think
Yeah.
we need,
Resistance. Right.
right? Resistance,
Carl
exactly. And
Jung.
then
Yeah.
yeah, and it manifests in so many ways, in mental health, in physical health, and in your
Well,
relationships, in every way.
yeah, I think, and of course, I was introduced to this, three, how long has it been now? 4 years ago.
Mm,
But to me, it's, you know, I like I like the fact that there's a specific process. Um, but I think if I look at the energetics of it, first and foremost, you have to want to expand and grow and be open to what you may not know. That's the
yeah,
first uh, that you kind of, it doesn't matter what's put before you, because if you don't attempt to do it, it's not going to show itself. And then I like what you said too,
right,
because we often, most of the time, especially that those really clingy ones that you're talking about, we don't know that they're even there, right?
you're right.
So it
Yeah,
makes you face things that you
yes,
don't know about, and when you do find out what they are, these are the when they knock you on your ass moments, like you were talking about earlier. You
yeah,
don't really want to deal with it, but
right,
I think there's no question in my mind. That's just my perspective, that there's a direct correlation between clearing that stuff up and like you said, creating space for these higher sensitivity skills and abilities. Um,
right.
but it's I've always found it so ironic, because it's a very human thing, right? Like, you can't go up there and say, "Okay, let's clear this up. Show me some sacred geometry." Da, da. You actually
Yes,
have to face, and I guess I'm speaking more to this today because I'm down here in my hometown,
yeah,
and we have, well, one of the family members transitioned this morning,
mm,
and there's reunification and seeing people you haven't seen in a long time. So a lot of stuff has come up. Driving through
yes,
the streets, going by
yeah,
my old house. I mean, there's a lot of stuff's come up, and yeah,
yeah,
it's very confronting at
yeah.
times and revealing, but you still have to have the desire to open those doors that you don't know what's behind them, right?
Right, and that takes some strength and courage to do that.
Hmm.
Believe
Yeah, it
me,
does.
and I've learned that
Mm.
it's being sitting in the uncomfortableness, trying to be comfortable in the uncomfortable
Yeah,
feeling,
yeah,
and once you can do that, then it dissipates very quickly, because it's just screaming for attention. That's what it's doing, and we turn our back on it, and we think it's so bad, but yet I've learned now that you just make friends with it and say thank you. There was a reason that you served me at one point,
hmm,
but I don't need you now. I honor you and I release you.
yeah,
And it can be as simple as that. It doesn't have to be a big drawn out ordeal, it can be something as simple as that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's a lot of stuff happening right now, and
Yeah.
it just seems like to me that uh, it's the human aspect that's has the key, basically. Like,
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
and other people much more than myself. I'm not trying to be self-deprecating, but connect out there, and in a, I don't know, and just I don't know what the word or adjective I'm trying to use, but and I remember, Morgan told me this 5 years ago. You're connected and you're running around in the ethers,
Mm-hmm.
but unless and
Yeah.
an embodiment is a full blown human presence in all moments.
Yeah.
You said about the getting knocked on your thing is being yourself enough to go down that path, knowing you might get knocked on
Yeah.
your ass because you didn't
Yeah.
know
No,
you had a program.
knowing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that's what it is. I think we're all clearing so much of that programming, of eons of programming, generations of programming, and that can be sometimes an ugly thing to go through.
Yeah.
Because
Well, it's getting
I
better.
know with me a lot,
It don't last.
yeah, you feel like it's all yours, but when you realize that it's not only yours, that your crap that you're dealing with, but when you're sensitive, you're picking up on all the energies, and even picking up the energy of Mother Earth herself. And
Hmm.
sometimes she's not so happy, and then you I mean, we are an extension of her, so just those feels, but we have to honor that. It's all a part of the big jigsaw puzzle, isn't it?
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
how do people get in touch with you if they want to explore Anita? And is it through
Well,
Facebook, or do you have any
yes.
other?
Well, I have Facebook and I'm on Instagram,
Okay.
and I would be honored to connect with anybody. Just it's lovely to have this. It's lovely, and I want to thank you so much for this community, Todd. And I honestly don't know how you do what you do, but
I'm
I have the
wondering the
utmost,
last few weeks.
yeah, I have the utmost respect. I mean, yeah, I don't even have words.
Yeah, it's
Most respect for you.
hmm. Well, thank you very much. But I'm half of the show here. Thank God I don't have to do all the other stuff. And I apologize to everybody who's written me all these messages and wants to call that, because I just
Mm.
can't do it.
Yeah, no, it's too much.
Message
May
Morgan. or,
may
or
I ask,
uh
before we leave,
mhm.
would it be all right if I offered a little light language?
I was going to ask you before we leave. I just wanted to make sure we got your information out there. But yeah,
Well,
absolutely. I
and
would love that. Yeah.
I feel like Soulogy is truly my community for coming
Mm,
out, because that was the
cool.
first time, like I said, I ever posted my light language drawing, which I didn't even know that's what it was. I was just meant to do it, and I did. And this will be the first time that I will be publicly, I mean, I do this with my clients and, behind closed doors, but I've just been so guided. Aneeta put it, you just, even if it resonates with one person, that's all that matters. So I would be honored to
Yes, we
share
would
a
love
little
it.
something
Take
this
as long
piece.
as you want. I would love to. I was going to ask you. So yeah.
Okay. Ik au kustumrukunia hanta abuku untkubulia. Ist imbruku unkiestikinia iba ahanti o kustak. Inti umblukund ukushtibinia antaka ashtiki tikin. A unkun yomuni onyak antuntuntuntumudi antunchtukurku kushti. Is behind a akunt kumulunia antakasht. Shoot, kunti atchikist kumulunia antiasht is the ham unti ik ant kumbrukun inti umbrukost unkunubli intashti koria is the imbrukunyani kashta inti int kumblu untki ahanishti ist ambro och antistinia antumunu unia ka ashtiki is the imbro unti a hund aka anti ambro konsti is bahala ata ik an unkuburkosta ka sha ik a ohulo an imbro kostini ik anturonia ka ba ist bara Thank you.
Wow. Hear a pin drop. That was powerful. Thank you. That was very powerful. So that was your thank you for honoring us with coming out on Soulogy and doing that for the first time. And thank you for your contributions into the group. And thank you for what you do. And I hope your husband listens to that, because he'll probably go out and buy some roses and candles and say, "Hey, baby, come here and
Thank you,
talk."
Todd.
Yeah.
Well, divine blessings to you, and you. There is always a space for you and Morgan whenever you're coming through California. You have a space for you to. My home is your home.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
We're going to be back in 4 or 5 minutes with Scarlet Ireland. This
Thank you, everyone.
triple triad of the divine feminine today. Aneeta,
Wonderful.
you take care.
I love you too.